Hey guys, and welcome back to Torchlight. So, I promised you I was gonna tell you which sort of game I consider to be a good starting point for LP. And I'm gonna do that today. And my suggestion is choose a reasonably short game that has a fairly dense story. That tend to be action games, stuff like Darksiders, Uncharted. Trying to think of other really good examples. Dark Souls, not so much, but you get the idea. Games that have a fairly strong storyline. RPGs like Skyrim can be good as well, depending on how you play it. Simply because the game just gives you a sort of, and I said sort of, it just gives you a story to hang on to. And I can't hit these guys through the gates, sadly. As an alchemist you can. It depends on which skills you use. Some of them go through walls, basically, but these ones don't. I think I used the lightning on the alchemist, the lightning ability, and that definitely does go through walls. But these are just normal trolls, so they're easy enough.
I'm overburdened.
And the big advantage of playing a game like that is precisely the fact that it does give you a storyline to hang on to. So if you run out of things to say, or you're kind of and there it goes, kind of. I do not want a staff. Don't want that. Nope. Nope. Nah. Nope. Nope. Nope.
I'm overburdened.
And that's my pet full. It just means that occasionally the game just takes over for you and you can think about what you want to say next, just because there's some storylines and dialogue going on. And I would also suggest you choose a game that's reasonably short, so something that you can finish in maybe 15 to 20 parts. Because in case you find out that it's not really the kind of game you want to play, you can then still finish it without it becoming an immense burden. If you start out trying to play, say, Final Fantasy X, and about 10 episodes in you notice that it's not really the kind of game you want to upload, then you're either going to have an unfinished project, or you're going to have to delete your project, or you will have to force yourself through the entirety of Final Fantasy X, despite not wanting to do it anymore. So, for example, my first LP was the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets game, which was... It's not... Well, I finished the main story. I didn't go 100% on the game because I actually lost the save. But I finished it, so that's okay. But I think it took about 12 parts, maybe. It's a sort of jump and run action kind of game, so lots of storyline to hang on to. The game does a lot of talking for you. And another important factor is it should be a game that you know at least to some extent. So you don't have to know it inside and out, but I'd suggest don't start off with a blind LP. Choose a game that you somewhat know. At least you should have played through it once. Ideally on the difficulty you are LPing. So if you, for example, decide you want to LP a game on highest difficulty, make sure you've played it through on the highest difficulty, or at least you're very confident that you can do it. Because once again, you don't or it leaves a bad impression on potential viewers if the first project you did is very unprofessional in terms of gameplay. There are some people who like to see, like, people, and there I said like, who enjoy seeing people fail, but the majority of people want to see at least somewhat successful playthroughs, in my experience. So choose a game that's reasonably short, choose a game that you know reasonably well, and that's somewhat focused on having a good story. And I guess that is sort of my advice. If you want to start out, that would be the kind of game that is quite good for starting out. And obviously it should be a game you like. And if the only game you like is World of Warcraft, then maybe don't do an LP. Just because there aren't very many games that are even worse for LPing. Or stuff like League of Legends. Now, you can make videos about those games. There's no reason you can't do World of Warcraft videos showing yourself in a high-end raid or whatever. But for an LP, which is just a different sort of format, I can't think of a much worse choice than League of Legends or World of Warcraft. MMOs in general tend to be very bad for this sort of thing. It can be done. Depends a slight bit on the MMO. Some of them have fairly good storylines. So something like Guild Wars, you might be able to LP reasonably well. Still not ideal, but I guess it could be done. But stuff like World of Warcraft, or especially anything that's... Ouch. Anything that's got a strong grinding factor, just forget it. Could be a game you sink a lot of time into, but it shouldn't be a game you LP. So yeah. Now, of course, that's sort of generic advice. A good thing to do is, or if you are looking to be successful, and if you're not just looking to do it as a hobby, then ideally you want to have some aspect of your video that makes you somewhat unique. As I said, you could go for fairly old RPGs, which not many people are doing, and thus you will find a specialized audience. And there are lots of ways you could do this. For example, you could choose to focus on playing games on a very high difficulty, or you could focus on doing challenge runs of certain things. And blowing these horns basically turns bridges. I don't know exactly how. I think it's because someone hears it as a signal and chooses to move the bridge, but doesn't really matter how it works, it just works. Oh no, these things. I hate them. As I said before.
Your pet is hurt.
Trolls are easy enough to avoid, so that's good. Ooh, I got a haste spell. I don't want that. Don't want that, don't want that, don't want that. Spells. I got haste 4. Increases my movement speed, but it's got a fairly short duration, and I think if I improve defensive spells, it increases duration, but I'll actually go without it. So if success is something you're looking for and you're not just doing it as a hobby for your own entertainment, then try finding something that not so many people are doing. Because if you start out playing, I don't know, say if you start out with a GTA 5 LP followed by Skyrim, followed by Mass Effect, I'm guessing people won't really care that much, simply because these are so commonly done that pretty much every second LP channel you find will have one of them. Kind of exaggerating here, but it's better to do stuff that's not quite as commonly done, at least in the beginning, simply because if you do a popular game, you are competing with the biggest LPers, because the really big ones are the ones who make money with this, and they at least in my experience, the bigger they got, the more interested they are in doing exactly what the audience wants and trying to gain more audience, because if you're actually doing YouTube as a full-time job, then obviously you depend on people watching your videos, so it's not you can't not care if people stop watching. You have to do what people want to see, which means you're gonna have to play videos largely on release, play games on release, and I've noticed that with one of the most popular LPers in general, and definitely the most popular German one, he started off playing some fairly obscure stuff, some old stuff.
My inventory is full. My pack is full.
But eventually he became successful, so he stopped doing it as a hobby and basically it became a job for him, which is okay. Nothing against that in general. It's a great thing that people can actually basically make a living from YouTube videos. I think that's a good thing. But sadly, for this particular LPer, it's meant that he switched away from the, for example, old adventure games, which he used to do a lot of, damn it, things like the original Monkey Island games, just the sort of lovely, quite old games. But of course, especially because he's focusing on a fairly young audience, so probably not trying to get people over the age of 16 really, he would be more interested in the 13 to 16-year-olds, I guess. Or at least from his videos, that's what I see. Which means he switched to more and more immature jokes and to more and more mainstream games. So instead of continuing the Monkey Island stuff, it would now be things like the new Diablo expansion, which is... I like the Diablo expansion, as you might have noticed, and there's nothing against LPing it, but... Ouch.
I am wounded.
It's quite noticeable that he is not really in it for the... well, it's noticeable that he's just in it for the money in a way. You can really tell. I hope you can see the overlay. Sadly, I can't disable that at all. Like the shared library stuff popping up. I've tried. It doesn't seem to work. Whatever I do, it always keeps... Did I die here? No. I think I died over here. It always keeps popping up unless I actually disconnect from the internet, which I don't want to do. Because updates. But yeah, it really shows... so he did the original Diablo 3 about a year ago when it came out. Pretty much on release as well, meaning he had disconnection problems and such. And he was playing with another guy who was similarly immature so it boiled down to being a pretty, I don't know, it reminded me of the sort of stuff that went on at
Has fled.
at boarding school. Just the kind of joke that a bunch of 16-year-old boys will make. Which I enjoyed at the time, of course, having been a 16-year-old boy, but at least it's something that I would consider very bad content. But now, about a year later, when the expansion comes out, he's been playing that on release as well. So a lot of blind playthroughs he's doing. And that means he does not know a lot about the game, which is natural. But then, because he has to do it as a full-time job, he also doesn't really have the time to think about the game that much. So he doesn't have the time to actually work it out. Which means he spends episodes on end in a lot of his videos and in a lot of his games not understanding basic concepts of the game, because he is ignoring any tutorials he sees and just going about the, oh, I'm just gonna try this by myself, it can't be that difficult, ha ha ha. And it seems to be actually a large factor of what he is about now, that he fails a lot. And not just dying on occasion, but selling items that are important, for example. Having a really good weapon in his inventory but never actually identifying it, and eventually just, oh, I put that in my chest and I'm never gonna use it. Stuff like that. Which is because he's having to do the popular thing, and it seems people in his current viewing bracket, which I don't know, sounds pompous, but there you go. They have basically forced him into doing okay, I can send my pet away, but I'm gonna have to go as well for identification scrolls. And because he has to rely on these videos to make money, he's now sort of locked in. He can't really change up his act in a major way. You can go away, and that's the wrong merchant. I keep confusing the two somehow. Don't really need... I'm keeping the electrical resistance because I'm getting close to the part of the game where I might need it. And I'm storing away all my gems. And let's see, I have a few cracked core embers which I could combine to discolored dull. I think I could combine these into a dull core ember, giving me health recovery per second. Or I could get the fire ones to increase fire damage, but I think I'll just leave it, actually. It's fine. But yeah, basically now that he's not played the game for a year, he does not remember any of the storyline, which in a game like Diablo 3, it doesn't matter so much. But then he actually prides himself in that, basically. They have spent episodes discussing how the storyline doesn't really matter at all, which, while it's true for that sort of game, it doesn't really matter that much. It's a decent storyline considering the genre, so it thinking entirely ignoring it is a bad choice, but it's not vital for a game of the hack and slash genre to understand and talk about every detail of the storyline. But then if you actually pride yourself in that and think it's a positive factor in your videos that you do not understand the game anymore, and that's not just not understanding the story, that's not understanding the basic gameplay, not knowing which button to press to open the map and such, and that does make for fairly bad content, I think. It's just not the kind of stuff I want to watch. So basically, if you start out, choose a game you enjoy and choose a game you know fairly well. Now, or choose a game that's really easy, I guess. If the game is easy enough, then you don't have to know it well to perform well.
Your pet is hurt.
And I suspect a boss coming up. Let's see what the stage name is. You will see it. Prison Stronghold. That does sound like a boss level. And I think I can squeeze that into this video. Technically I could cut now, but meh. And the game lags out a tiny little bit when I kill a troll because they drop a lot of items, and when the game calculates which items to put down, I think it's a short-term overload. Trolls are so hilariously slow. Once they start their attack, you still have enough time to run away and not be hit by it. And once again, tiny little lag spike. I'm not sure if you noticed these in the video, but it's basically when trolls drop their items. Oh, that one didn't drop anything. Okay, I don't want the resurrecting guy to be alive because he's tedious. And my pet is always fleeing.
Your pet has fled.
My pack is full.
Yep, my pack is full, but there's tons of stuff I don't actually want. And a healing shrine and a mana shrine and a troll juggernaut. Which are fairly slow, as all trolls. So the goblin hounds are fairly quick, but have less health, which is why I dealt with them first. Okay, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't need these shrines right now. I can always use them later.
Struggle against Ordrak's will. No matter. The Overseer could not pass this realm, and you will fare no better against the Goblin hordes.
As far as I recall, this was a fairly annoying boss fight. because of these little troll master guys, which I think they resurrect each other or they come back somehow. But they heal him, they heal the boss and give him shields, basically. As you can see right here. And that makes them really annoying. I think you could get rid of them somehow. Maybe just have to kill them kind of simultaneously so they can't resurrect each other. But yeah, basically while the boss is shielded you can't really do much against him. And those silly guys really make the boss fight difficult. So this might be a little boring. Yes, I'm wounded, I know. And still on 4 of these guys. I don't think I've actually killed any of them. I think there was some sort of exploit, well, not really exploit, but you could use this boss fight somehow to gain infinite experience. Because some ever spawning mob which actually gave experience here, I think. But I don't remember how it went, and I don't remember if that was a glitch or not. And these guys are all still alive or alive again, I don't remember. And I have not done anything to the boss yet. I think you could die again here and kind of exploit that, as I did with the other boss. But I'm not sure, and I'll try not doing stuff like that.
Your pet is hurt. Your pet has fled.
Yes, but my pet is now getting a health potion, so that's nice. And they definitely come back. Okay, I'm prominent now. So I apologize for this slightly boring video. Or at least the slightly boring boss fight. I think if I pull him away, the respawning poison bolt guys won't come after. I don't quite remember though. Let's give it a go though, because on this difficulty it's really tedious. It's not much of a problem on easy, for example, because the healing is not as relevant and you can kill these guys in one shot. Trollmaster, please die. Okay.
Your pet is free.
I don't really care. But yeah, I think I've gotten him away from his healers now. This will be a slightly longer than usual episode, but I'm not gonna split up the boss fight, that would be quite mean. And there we go, and I get a staff. Why, hey. Alright, I guess I'll do my skill point. Where did I put the last one? Oh, parrying, yeah. I should probably, I'll increase critical strikes. This gives me improved critical hit rate and damage. So many scale goggles, none of which I want.
You've made it to the fortress. Are you feeling the effects of the Ember Blight? Don't worry. We're close to finding your cure. I hope you will continue to help me afterward. Whatever is causing this corruption is too powerful for me to face on my own. Clear a path to the Ember Forge, and I will meet you there.
You have gained a task.
So there we go. In case you missed it, we've been corrupted by this Ember Blight. In the very first boss fight, actually, before it. So that makes us stronger, but will also eventually kill us and corrupt us and turn us into something very bad. So, up to now, our goal has been to find the Ember Forge, which is really deep down and which is basically able to cure us. But yeah, we'll see more progress next time, so until then, bye bye!